I'm sure that all you faithful people who come on pilgrimage to Our Lady Shrine here in Walsingham know that in the Middle Ages, England was known as the Dowry of Mary. Dowries are usually given by women to their husband at their marriage, bringing something or another, possibly money, to the marriage. But when we talk about England as being Mary's dowry, it's the other way around. It's we ourselves who are being brought to Mary, or were brought in such numbers to Mary, that England earned that title of being her dowry, belonging to her in a very special way. And not simply because Walsingham was the very first shrine to Our Lady in the whole of Europe, but truly because the people of this land were so devoted to her. Or if you think of all those myriads of churches around the country, in villages and towns, that were built in England as Catholic before the Reformation, vast numbers of them were dedicated to Mary. I wouldn't be surprised if it was nearly 50% of them were dedicated to her. England was very close to Mary. Mary was very close to everyone's heart. I'm sure you all know that, even though I've just repeated it to you. But I wonder whether you also know that England was called the Island of Saints because there were so many holy people in this land. And maybe the two things are linked. Maybe it was because England was so devoted to Mary that so many people were sanctified and became known for their holiness, for their goodness, for their devotion to the Lord. In our own diocese here in East Anglia, we have not only a king who is a saint, Edmund, who was murdered by the invading Danes. We have a princess, Etheldreda, who founded a convent in Ely, which flourished and through her holiness. And then, although he was a foreigner by birth, we also have Saint Felix, because he brought the faith to us in this part of the world. And then there's little St. Johnstone, a little country boy, a farmer, in a village not far from Norwich, who earned his reputation of great sanctity. And then over in the fens, we have Guthlac and Paga, two other holy people. And we could go on, and that's only our own diocese. And for today, we're celebrating two other, English saints from a different part of the country. If they started their lives in Northumberland and Northumbria, Cedd and Cedd. Very unusual in that they were brothers. Very unusual to have two brothers who being canonized saints, and we are celebrating them both on the same day. Not only were they brothers, but they were also monks. And not only were they monks, but they were also bishops. Three unique things for brothers to be all together. They started their life together in a monastery in North Yorkshire, not far from Scarborough, a little town called Lastingham. But they didn't stay there long because, as I said, each of them was called to become a bishop. Cedd was the older, and he was the first one. He was present at that most important meeting called the Synod of Whitby, which was held in order to unite the church in England, because at that time there were two strands of the Catholic Church in this land. There was a strand which came originally from Ireland and via Scotland and into the north of England, called the Celtic Church. And there was the Roman Church, which came with Augustine and others, bringing the faith from Rome directly, and its usage, the ways in which it behaved, from the center of our faith. And the Synod of Whitby decided that the Church should be one and we should all follow the Roman ways. That is why we are Roman Catholics and not Celtic Catholics now. And Cedd was one of those who conformed to that meeting. He was then called, as a bishop, to go and evangelize in Essex, and he set up his see there. He didn't have long as a bishop in Essex, I think only about 3 years before he died. And in the meanwhile, his brother Cedd, also now a bishop, was sent or asked to go to the Midlands, to the kingdom that was then known as Mercia. And he went and set up his cathedral in Lichfield, and he established and evangelized the church in that part of the world. He was known for his humility, for his devotion, for great zeal for the faith, and for his apostolic work in converting the people in the Midlands. But he too didn't have a long reign as bishop. He also had only about 3 years to achieve all that he did achieve. But these two saints are typical of the island of saints which England was at one time. And it's great that we should be celebrating them together here at the shrine of Our Lady, reminding ourselves that she is at the heart of our faith, and that the faith was through her, devotion to her, England became so well known for sanctity. Cedd is the patron saint of the Birmingham Archdiocese, and his relics are there in the cathedral which is named after him. Cedd, on the other hand, is the patron saint for the Diocese of Brentwood in Essex, where he administered, but no relics for him, and as far as I know, the church or the cathedral is not named after him. But we give thanks to God today for these two saints. We turn to them in prayer, ask them to pray for our land, that we might once more become and be an island of saints, following them in their sanctity, following them in their depth of their faith, following them in their devotion to Mary, the Mother of God.